There is a battle that every human being fights, a battle that nobody else can see. It does not happen on a battlefield. It does not make noise. There are no enemies standing in front of you. The battle happens inside your own mind. Every morning when you open your eyes, before you speak to another person, before you touch your phone, before you step into the world, you have already had a conversation with yourself. And the words you choose in that conversation are quietly shaping the person you are becoming. Many people believe that their biggest obstacle is outside of them. They blame their circumstances. They blame their past. They blame the people who doubted them. They blame the opportunities they never received. But often, the greatest limitation is not found in the world around us. It is found in the voice we carry within us. Imagine a young tree growing in a forest. If every day someone came and damaged its roots, bent its branches and told it, "You will never become strong," eventually that tree would struggle to reach the sky. The human mind is similar. The words you repeat to yourself are the water that feeds your roots. If you constantly tell yourself, "I am not capable," I lie. "I always fail. I am behind everyone else." Then slowly, without realizing it, you begin to live according to those words. But what if you changed the conversation? What if, instead of attacking yourself for your mistakes, you became the person who guides yourself through them? What if you looked at your failures and said, "This moment is here to teach me"? What if, when life becomes difficult, you reminded yourself, "I have faced challenges before, and I have grown stronger because of them"? This is not about pretending that everything is perfect. It is not about repeating empty words and ignoring reality. It is about understanding a deeper principle. The mind becomes what it practices. Just as a warrior trains the body through repetition, a person trains the mind through the words they choose every single day. A disciplined person does not allow every negative thought to become a command. They observe it, they understand it, and they choose a better response. Because the voice inside your head can either become your prison or it can become your greatest teacher. The moment you learn to speak to yourself with wisdom, patience, and strength, you begin to change the relationship you have with yourself. And when your relationship with yourself changes, your decisions change, your actions change, your life begins to change. So today, the question is not, what is the world saying about me? The deeper question is, what have I been saying to myself? Because the person you become tomorrow is being shaped by the conversation you are having with yourself today. Asterisk. There was once a student who came to a teacher carrying a heavy burden, not a burden that could be seen. His hands were empty. His shoulders carried no physical weight, but his mind was exhausted. He said to the teacher, "I do not understand. I work hard. I try to improve. But every time I make a mistake, there is a voice inside me telling me that I am not enough." The teacher looked at him and asked, "If someone followed you every day and spoke to you the same way you speak to yourself, would you consider that person a friend?" The student became silent because he knew the answer. Many people would never allow another person to insult them, discourage them, or constantly remind them of their failures. Yet they allow themselves to do it every single day. They wake up and immediately begin a conversation filled with doubt. "I am too late. I am not talented enough. Others are better than me. Maybe I will never change." And slowly, these words become more than thoughts. They become beliefs, and beliefs become actions. A person who believes they are powerless will act powerless. A person who believes they are capable will search for opportunities. The difference is not always in the situation. The difference is often in the interpretation of that situation. A difficult moment can be seen as proof that you should stop, or it can be seen as training that prepares you to become stronger. The same rain that creates mud for one person creates a life for another. The difference is not the rain. The difference is the perspective. Your inner voice is like a compass. A compass does not create the journey, but it determines the direction. If your inner voice constantly points toward fear, shame, and limitation, every step you take will be influenced by those emotions. But if your inner voice points toward courage, growth, and possibility, you begin walking a different path. This is why mastering your self-talk is not a small habit. It is a form of self-mastery. Before you can change your external world, you must first become aware of your internal world. A martial artist does not become skilled by fighting every opponent outside. First, they must master themselves. They must control their breathing. They must control their emotions. They must control their reactions. The same principle applies to the mind. You cannot control every event that happens to you. You cannot control every person's opinion. You cannot control every challenge that arrives at your door. But you can control the voice that rises within you when those challenges appear. Instead of saying, "Why am I so weak?" say, "What can this moment teach me?" Instead of saying, "I failed again," say, "I discovered another way that does not work. Now I continue." Instead of saying, "I am not ready," say, "I am preparing myself through every step I take." The goal is not to lie to yourself. The goal is to stop destroying yourself. A seed does not become a tree by being criticized. It becomes a tree by receiving the right conditions to grow. Your mind is the same. Give it discipline. Give it patience. Give it words that create strength. Because every sentence you repeat to yourself is a brick. And every day you are building the person you will become. So choose your words carefully. Because before the world believes in you, you must first become the person who believes in yourself. There is a difference between a person who wants to improve and a person who constantly attacks themselves. Many people confuse self-criticism with growth. They believe that if they are hard enough on themselves, they will become stronger. They think, "If I punish myself for every mistake, maybe I will finally become better." But a mind that is constantly attacked does not become stronger. It becomes tired. Imagine a young student learning a new skill. Every time he makes a mistake, the teacher says, "You are useless. You will never understand this. You are not talented enough." Would that student improve? Maybe for a short moment, fear would force him to continue. But over time, fear would replace curiosity. He would stop trying. He would stop exploring. He would stop believing that growth is possible. The same thing happens inside our own minds. When we constantly speak to ourselves with anger and judgment, we create an environment where growth becomes difficult. A person cannot build a better life while constantly destroying their own confidence. But this does not mean we should become soft with ourselves. It does not mean we ignore our weaknesses. It does not mean we avoid responsibility. True self-compassion is not weakness. It is clarity. A wise person can look at their mistakes and say, yes, I made a mistake, without adding, and because of this mistake, I am a failure. There is a difference between correcting your behavior and attacking your identity. A mistake is something you did. It is not who you are. A failure is an event. It is not your final destination. The disciplined mind learns to separate these two things. It says, I am not where I want to be yet. Not, I will never get there. It says, I have something to improve. Not, there is something wrong with me. This is the mindset of a person who practices self-mastery. When a martial artist trains, they do not become angry at their body because they cannot perform a movement perfectly on the first day. They observe, they adjust, they repeat. They understand that mastery is created through patience. The same approach must be applied to yourself. You are also a work in progress. Every weakness you see is an invitation to train. Every mistake is information. Every challenge is an opportunity to understand yourself deeper. The question is not, how can I criticize myself until I become better? The better question is, how can I guide myself until I become stronger? Because the strongest people are not those who never fall. The strongest people are those who know how to speak to themselves when they fall. They do not waste energy with shame. They use that energy for transformation. When life becomes difficult, become the voice that gives yourself direction. Tell yourself, stay patient, keep moving. Learn from this moment. You are still becoming. The person who learns to guide their own mind becomes difficult to defeat, because even when the world becomes uncertain, they still have one powerful ally, themselves. And when you stop being your own enemy, you finally create the space to become your own greatest teacher. There is a hidden power that shapes the direction of your life. It is not only the actions you take. It is the questions you ask yourself. Every day, your mind is searching. It is constantly trying to find answers. But here is the important thing. Your mind will always try to answer the questions you give it. If you ask yourself, why am I always unlucky? Your mind will search for evidence of failure. It will collect every disappointment, every mistake, every moment when things did not go your way. And slowly, you will begin to build a story where you are the victim of your circumstances. But what happens when you change the question? What if instead you ask, what is this situation trying to teach me? Now your mind begins searching for lessons. It looks for opportunities. It looks for solutions. The situation may be the same, but the person facing the situation has changed. A wise person understands that they cannot always control what happens around them, but they can influence the meaning they give to what happens. Two people can experience the same failure. One person says, "This proves I am not capable." Another person says, "This shows me what I need to improve." One person closes the door. The other person begins a new path. The difference begins with a question. Many people spend their lives asking questions that keep them trapped. Why is life so unfair? Why does nobody understand me? Why am I not as successful as others? These questions consume energy but create no movement. They keep the mind focused on what cannot be changed. But a disciplined mind asks different questions. What can I control right now? What is the next small step I can take? What ability can I develop from this challenge? These questions create responsibility. They return power to you. A student of self-mastery does not wait for life to become easier before becoming stronger. They use every experience as training. Every obstacle becomes a teacher. Every difficult moment becomes a mirror showing them where they still need to grow. Imagine a person standing in front of a mountain. The person who asks, "Why is this mountain here?" may spend years complaining about its existence. But the person who asks, "How can I climb this mountain?" begins searching for a path. The mountain has not changed. The person has. This is the power of conscious questioning. Your mind is like a powerful instrument. If you give it the wrong instructions, it will create confusion. If you give it the right questions, it will search for growth. So become aware of the conversations happening inside you. When you face difficulty, do not immediately ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What now?" When you make a mistake, do not ask, "What is wrong with me?" Ask, "What can I learn from this?" When you feel lost, do not ask, "Will I ever succeed?" Ask, "What action can I take today to move forward?" Because your future is not only created by your circumstances, it is created by the thoughts you repeat, questions you choose, and the direction you give your mind. The person who masters their questions begins to master their life, because a better question does not just create a better answer, it creates a better version of you. There is a truth that many people do not realize. You are constantly becoming the person you repeatedly tell yourself you are. Every thought you accept, every word you repeat, every belief you carry, they are not disappearing into nothing. They are shaping your identity. A person does not suddenly wake up one day and become confident, disciplined, and strong. Transformation happens quietly. It happens in the small moments when nobody is watching. It happens when you choose your response instead of following your old patterns. It happens when you change the way you speak to yourself. Imagine two people standing at the beginning of the same journey. Both have the same dream. Both face the same challenges. Both experience failure. But their inner conversations are different. The first person says, "I always struggle. Things never work out for me. Maybe I am not meant for this." The second person says, "I am learning. Every challenge is making me stronger. I may not be there yet, but I am becoming the person who can achieve it." Years later, they may stand in completely different places. Not because one person had a perfect path, not because one person faced fewer obstacles, but because one person built an identity of limitation, while the other built an identity of growth. Your identity is like a foundation. Whatever you build in life must stand on it. If the foundation is built on fear, doubt, and insecurity, every challenge will feel like a threat. But if the foundation is built on courage, patience, and discipline, challenges become opportunities to strengthen yourself. This is why your self-talk matters. When you say, "I am lazy," you are not describing a behavior. You are creating an identity. Instead, say, "I have not developed discipline yet, but I am training it every day." When you say, "I am weak," you create a permanent label. Instead, say, "I am becoming stronger through practice." The words are different, but the direction of your mind is completely different. A seed does not become a tree by being forced. It becomes a tree because every day it receives what allows it to grow. Your identity works the same way. Every encouraging thought is a drop of water. Every disciplined action is sunlight. Every moment you choose growth over comfort is another root becoming stronger. But remember, positive self-talk is not about creating fantasies. It is not about standing in front of the mirror and pretending that you have already achieved everything. The warrior does not say, "I have mastered everything." The warrior says, "I am committed to mastery." There is humility in growth. There is patience in transformation. The strongest people are not those who believe they are perfect. They are those who believe they are responsible for their own development. They wake up every day and remind themselves, "I am responsible for my mind. I am responsible for my choices. I am responsible for the person I am becoming." Because at the end of the day, your life follows your identity. If you see yourself as someone who gives up, you will find reasons to quit. If you see yourself as someone who grows, you will find reasons to continue. The world may take away many things from you. Opportunities may disappear. People may doubt you. Circumstances may become difficult. But one thing remains in your control: the story you repeat inside your own mind. So choose your words carefully. Speak to yourself like someone who is becoming stronger. Speak to yourself like someone who is worthy of growth. Speak to yourself like the person you want to become. Because every conversation you have with yourself is a vote for your future identity. And one day, the person you have been training in silence will become the person the world can finally see. At the end of this journey, you must understand one simple truth. Your life does not change when the world finally speaks differently about you. Your life changes when you begin speaking differently to yourself. Because the longest conversation you will ever have is the conversation you have with your own mind. You can escape many things in life. You can change your environment. You can change your job. You can change the people around you. But you cannot escape yourself. So the question becomes, what kind of person are you choosing to live with inside your own mind? Are you living with a voice that constantly reminds you of your failures? A voice that tells you that you are behind? A voice that convinces you that you are not capable? Or are you building a voice that challenges you, guides you, and helps you rise? Remember this: the purpose of positive self-talk is not to make you comfortable. It is to make you stronger. A mountain climber does not reach the peak because the mountain becomes smaller. The climber reaches the peak because they become stronger than the difficulty in front of them. And your mind works the same way. There will still be difficult days. There will still be moments of doubt. There will still be times when you question yourself. But now you have a choice. You can listen to the old voice that keeps you trapped, or you can create a new voice that leads you forward. When you fail, tell yourself, "I am learning." When you feel lost, tell yourself, "I will find the next step." When you feel weak, tell yourself, "I am training my strength." When the journey feels too long, remind yourself, "I do not need to become everything today. I only need to continue becoming." Because greatness is not created in one dramatic moment. It is created through thousands of small conversations with yourself. Every morning you wake up is another opportunity to shape your mind. Every challenge you face is another opportunity to practice your character. Every difficult moment is another chance to prove that you can lead yourself. The person who masters their inner world becomes free from being controlled by the outer world. They no longer need constant approval. They no longer need everyone to believe in them because they have built something stronger, trust in themselves. So tonight, before you sleep, and tomorrow, when you open your eyes, remember the person you are speaking to. That person is listening. That person is learning. That person is becoming. So speak with patience. Speak with courage. Speak with discipline. Because the words you give yourself today become the reality you create tomorrow. The greatest transformation does not begin when you change your surroundings. It begins when you change the voice within. And when you finally become your own greatest teacher, there is no obstacle that can permanently defeat you, because the strongest person you will ever meet is the person you choose to become.